Buddy, as usual, I dove onto this project and started in on it before I stopped and thought about whether you guys would be interested in it. So let's have started. So here's what we've got. This is more parts for the Salt Flats race car. So this is the charge pump for their torque converter transmission combination. Now this is all custom one-off built. I believe this is the charge pump out of an Allison transmission. But at any rate, I'll show you what the deal is. So this one, they don't need the volume that this puts out, and obviously they're after maximum horsepower. So this one has been custom thinned down, had about 3/16 of an inch pulled off from it, and they needed another one done. Now I have to grind it in, but I did some checking, and it was soft enough to machine. Now 3/16 of an inch coming off on a grinder, especially one without power feed, is not my idea of fun. So I'm sticking these in the lathe. It's pretty tough stuff, but it is cuttable. And I'm carving them down. I got this one whittled down, left 20 thousandths worth of stock on it for grinding. And I'm getting ready to whittle the other one down. So I'll show you a little bit of that, and then we're going to go over to the grinder and dust these things off. Going on is this has drive lugs in the center of it, and they want it machined so that those drive lugs are offset all to one side. So I'm trying to get it down where I've got just enough material left to dust it off, and then this one I'm actually going to have to flip it around, put it back in the lathe, and carve some more off of it. Alright, I think we're ready to go to the grinder. These are hard enough, by the way, and I'm grabbing them light enough. You may have noticed I didn't bother with soft jaws because I'm barely grabbing these, being very careful, and then, like I say, they're quite hard, the teeth on these things. Getting a spark off from it once in a while, cutting it. Alright, let's head to the grinder. This inner gear is still quite a bit thicker than what we want to end up. But because of the drive lug situation, I actually have to take material off both sides of it. And what I'm doing here is grabbing something in a lathe like that without going to a lot of work, you know, I shouldn't say a lot, but really being careful getting it trued up. You know, it's likely to have some wobble in it. For roughing it, I don't care. So what I'm doing is I've roughed as much off from this side as I can, and while I still have the factory surface on the other side, so I know that this thing's dead square, I'm throwing it on here and just cleaning this side up, and then I'll go back over to the lathe and finish roughing off, because most of the material I need to remove now is on the other side. But I want to have this side dead true and square to the factory surface before I take it off, because if I cut both sides, then I've lost all my factory reference. So anyway, that's what I'm up to now, getting ready to touch off on here. Just where we're just barely nicking a couple of teeth. There we are. Just barely whispering it. I'm going to go all the way across here. So by the way, you probably can't tell it from the video, but this thing cranks really hard. I mean, it's stiff. And there's a story behind that. And it's because, I don't know, probably about 2 years ago, when Wiggles was substantially younger, he got a hold of one of my oil cans and was going to help me out and ran around and oiled all the machines up. Well, that particular oil can had 90 weight gear oil in it. Not what you use on the slides on a grinder. So anyway, long and short of it was, 2 years later, I am yet to get that crap all worked out of here. I keep dumping, actually intentionally, thin oil in here. So every time I want to grind something, I get a little reminder of how helpful kids can be. Guess what we'll do here? I take my jacket off. This is too much work. Alright, so what I did there is came down till I touched it. Just so happened I started on the high side, but you never know where you might be, so that's why I'm being very cautious always on the first pass. Alright, let's drop this thing, we'll say 1.5 thou. Running surface grinder was one of my jobs as a kid quite a bit, because we had old manual surface grinders, and so when there were go-no-go pins and gauges and stuff that had to be ground in where it was just going to be hours and hours of doing this, I got to do quite a bit of that. See, here's the proof is in the pudding of exactly why I need to do this. Is this, I've touched off on it, and now I'm taking 1.5 thou and we're only cleaning up halfway across the circle. And that's because when I threw this thing in lathe, I just eyeballed it in and went with it, knowing I was going to tackle it this way. Alright. Let's look here. Yeah, we're going to take another 1.5 thou, which, by the way, about all you want to be hogging with one of these little Boyar Schultz. I've done more, but I'm sure it has a lot to do with whatever kind of wheel you got on there. At least with the wheel I've got and no coolant, looks to me like it starts trying to burn a little if you cut much more than that. So. Stuck this in here, wiggled and felt, and just barely snugged it up. Now, what I'll do now is come up and just touch the face with it spinning and let it finish squaring itself up and then snug it up. Now, that's what I did on last side you saw from the grinder. We just got, I don't know, we'll say 3.5 thousandths out of square is what we ended up doing it that way, which is plenty close up. I'm leaving 20 thousandths of stock on here for grinding, so I'm probably a little overcautious. I could definitely get away with less, but I'm paranoid of wrecking some hard-to-find parts. So there it has squared itself up. Like I mentioned before, we're holding this very, very loosely. We'll grab my calipers now. Alright, so I want to do the same thing to this part that I did to the other one, where I dust off the side that I just machined down so I know it's square, and then I want to flip it and put just the slightest, I just want to clean up the other face. This is actually a used part. It's got a couple little score marks on it, so as long as we're grinding stuff, we might as well go after that surface, is my thinking. Alright, let's see what we got here. So this is a fancy tool that I rarely use. I mostly use mechanical micrometers, but 641. Boy, so far she's within about 2/10, so yeah, it's about all you can, I should say all you can expect, but all I expect out of this little old grinder, let's put it that way. Okay, so now that we've verified that it's doing a decent job of flat, or I should say not flat, parallel, let's stick this on here and just come across and dust this side. We're just barely touching it, which is what you would expect. I only want to take, we'll see if half a thousandths cleans it up. Probably see that little bit of a ripple in the finish. I think the spindle bearings in this thing are not great anymore. It's one of those things that's on the to-do list but hasn't been high urgency because I don't use this grinder that much. And when I do, it's rarely for something that's that critical. So someday, I hope to replace the spindle bearings, but that day is not today. Now, something I had noticed about the other one that I didn't check on this is it's shaped a little bit like a Pringle, so it's possible that even this factory side isn't exactly dead flat. See what that looks like once and decide if we're just... Yeah, I think we'll just go back across it again. I can see a little bit of witness marks where got my I'm gonna call it timing down there. That'll get you in serious trouble if you're in a heavy cut and you try climb cutting your grinder. You can yank stuff right off your magnet and fling it. On a cleanup cut like this, I'm unlikely to get hurt by it. But so once I'm done with this, then the plan is to flip this over and put both parts on here together because I want them to end up the same thickness. Which, interestingly enough, is something that the other guys that did the other one don't appear to have done, because there's almost a thousandths difference in thickness between the two, and I can't think of any reason that was a good idea. have it. You can see just a little bit of witness marks from wear line coming around there, but not enough to hurt anything, so we're going to roll with that. Alright, so I want to stop and check my dimensions. Now I'm going to mark these things. I don't know why it matters, but I am anyways. So I know what position I had them on here in. And I want to do a little measuring here, and I just want to verify flat, and I want to see where I'm at, just in case I've made a mistake somewhere along the way. I'd like to know that, like, I'm taking a lot of material off, and I don't want to just go screaming up to my finished dimension and then find out that I was wrong somewhere along the way. So it's a good opportunity to stop, do a little measure, and see where in the world we actually are at. Now we're right where I thought it'd be, 0.633. Alright, so I pulled parts off. I knew I was getting close. I had 3.5 thou to go when I measured it. And so I dressed my wheel. You can see, I said I'd show you that. Maybe I'll pull you off stand so you can see this. So you can see the difference. Now, some of the finish difference here, if I can show you, see the line there where it goes from pretty rough on this side to much smoother. It's a combination of two things. It's me redressing the wheel because it was getting pretty loaded up, and I'm only taking 1/1000ths per pass now because I'm on finished pass. So this is a 50 thousandths per pass step over, thousandths depth of cut is what we're doing here. And we're going to do that for 3 passes, and then my finished pass is going to be 1/2 thou, and pull these things off here. If you guys are getting bored watching this, just imagine how I feel, because you skipped a bunch of it. I should have roughed them in closer than what I did. I was being overly paranoid, so that peeling off 25 thousandths is ridiculous. I should have shot for 10 thousandths worth of material for grinding, and just made sure I had them squared up and laid well enough that it was going to clean up good at that. But anyway. Alright, we're going to go back across it without changing my depth any. And I'm going to do 100,000th step over too, by the way. Well, let's take some measurements and see if we ended up where we were supposed to. Alright, first thing we'll do here is come back over and verify that we're getting what we thought we were there. And then I think we're going to take another half a thou off this thing. I'd really rather be a little thinner than what we are here. Not going to bother to spark back across that. I've got a really nice finish. And I don't want to risk taking more than I really want, so we're going to just hold this and check dimensions again. This time I will go ahead and put a mark on them just in case I decide to run back on, but I doubt very much that I am. Alright, so I would say on the average, and the reason I say on the average is because these ones vary quite a bit in thickness, that these are probably fat to the tune of 1 to 2/10. You know, as I compare it with the numbers around this, because this isn't perfectly flat either. Like I said, my grinder across this surface is varying about 1/10. So anyway, theirs is worse, by the way, the last one. So anyhow, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let them try fitting it. If it seems like it's a little snug, it's a heck of a lot easier to take some off than it is to put some back. So I'm going to operate on the philosophy that leaving a little material on there is a better idea. So anyway, I think that's it for this project. We're going to go drop this off to the customer and get on to the next project.